Slick Dribble slipping in. And today we want to roll over a very useful beginning to any kind of journey or brand new path, and that is security. So with security, we got a couple ways we could take it. We first want to get down your very basic kind of needs like food, water, shelter. I'm assuming most people that will watch this will definitely already have that set up, but we just need to be able to get our very basic things met first. And then after that, we can start worrying about what bigger dreams we have, what aspirations come after that. But there is kind of an order that I personally will be taking it in. And I want to do it in a way that I can track, in a way that I believe can be replicable for other people. And that way comes in with me first going in the greatest thing that people in this nation are concerned with, and that is money. We are in a capitalist place. Not everybody starts from somewhere that they believe is a great position. So I want to pull up some things that will show us that maybe that doesn't matter where you currently are, but it does matter how you utilize what you have. So we're going to go from even the lowest point to begin. And this is what we want to do. So imagine this like a checklist of sorts. And this is how I've been doing it. First, we want to make sure our goal is to build stability and set ourselves up to win later. Our priority is survival. And then after we get that survival set, then we can focus on stability. And then maybe increase the options that we have. It's not so much focus on wealth at the beginning. We just want to focus on being able to get by day to day. And as we build up, we can then change our focus to other things. Today's video will be about how we will do that build from the bottom. So firstly, we want to spend less than we earn, assuming that you have a job. We want to get into a position to where we're not using every cent of our paycheck in order to just live our lives. I'm not going to tell you to stop doing things that are fun for you. I'm not going to tell you to stop splurging, but I want you to be mindful of when you do. Just make sure that it's less than what you actually are making. Like, don't try to force yourself into credit cards, especially not at this stage. You don't want to have to take out a loan for something that you cannot cover unless it's an extreme emergency. And if it's not something that you can foresee, that's not skippable. But if you can plan for it, if you can imagine what kind of dangers you may be in, we want you to hold off on spending for other things rather than building up something to cover that cost. If you have a job, we want you to get some basic insurance plans in place, like put in for your health. If you need auto insurance for having a car, like on lease or something, go ahead and put that in. Get you some renter's insurance, because that way, that'll be money that you'll be losing to something, but it could offer you grand protection in what you're currently looking for. Because you know that even just one financial disaster, when you have barely any money to your name or living paycheck to paycheck, it can erase multiple years of whatever progress you thought you were making. So our first goal with this is to build an emergency fund. Everybody always tells you to build an emergency fund. If you listen to the information that's out there, I listen to it, I know about it, but it's not always an easy thing to start with just somebody telling you sporadically to start with an emergency fund. So if you receive any kind of funds over a weekly or monthly basis, literally save $10. I'm not even going to ask for anything more than that. If you can, do so, but just save $10. We want to make our first goal into saving $1,000 cash. This is definitely a strategy that can be changed based on what those needs currently are. But if you don't have anywhere to start, if you believe you don't have anywhere to start, it is easy that you can save $10. As soon as you get that check, take $10 out, put it somewhere else. $10 is too little for you, definitely do more. But you got to figure out what your expenses are. After you get those $1,000 in cash as your savings, the second thing is going to be trying to build up to a month of what your current living expenses are. This is a process that's going to take time. It's not something that we're trying to do within a week. We'll be building other things while we're also focusing on this, but we do have to build these. Another thing is to, after that, we want to do up to 6 months of living expenses. And you know, for you to get 6 months of living expenses built up when you are barely making things scrape by, you know it's not going to be something that happens immediately. But it's a goal that you need to keep in mind. And if you plot it out for specific dollar amounts that you expect to save, you should set a very specific end date for when you imagine that you'll be able to make these dates, these saving goals. And if you make it before those dates, that is wonderful. That means that you were able to save more. This is what I am doing. This is what I have done. And we want to make sure that we keep it boring. And these things that we want to save up, they got to be in a high yield savings account and not in stocks. So this is going to be a separate thought pattern than building up wealth or building up some form of security in a way that people normally state it. Now, me personally, I will be doing stocks as well, but I won't be getting crazy about it. I'm doing it in a manageable way. And to me, this is the information that nobody really gives us. Like, it's the experience that you really have to live just to get started. A lot of the information I see is generally about people that already have this thing settled and solved. It's not somebody that's just now beginning their journey. This is where I am. I'm right at the cusp, right at the start. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to be walking through how I go through each step. That way, I have an account that could be replicated. That's the entire point. So remember that this saving, getting your 1,000, getting your 1 month of living expenses, giving your 6 months of living expenses saved up somewhere that's not going to be easily destroyed, is exceptionally important for what we plan to do in the future. It's not an investment, though. This is going to be insurance against stress. Next up is we want to kill toxic debt. And we want to do it as fast as we can. So at this point, I'm expecting that you've gone through all your expenses and figured out what it is you typically use up within a month. And I mean, track it down to the last 5 months if you can. However much you were spending in the last 5 months would be generally what you will be spending in the months to come, assuming no financial changes or disasters happen to you. So list out all your debts that have interest rates. Line them up in order of the ones with the highest interest rates to the ones with the lowest interest rates. And what I want you to do is stop focusing on the ones that have the lowest interest rates. Say if you have 5 debts with interest, I want you to focus only on the top 2. So you pay the minimum payment for the ones that have the lowest debts, that have the lowest interest rates, And then for the top 2, put as much as you can into those top 2 that does not overburden yourself. What this is going to do is begin to pay down the principal of those debts and stop you from so easily getting overwhelmed by the amount of accumulation it gets from those high interests. If you only have 3 things that pose a debt interest, then just focus on the top 1 option. Whatever the bottom 2 are, just don't, even if they match something else, don't focus on getting those completed. What we want to do is get rid of the thing that's going to take the most money away from us. And generally, these kind of things will be credit cards rather than personal loans. But those can also get rather high as well. It's really just up to your specific standards. So if you got a credit card that has a high balance on it, if that credit card is lower in interest rate than one that has a lower balance. Pay off the one with the highest interest rate first. That's just what I'm trying to get you to do. Focus on one. If you have a ton of different kinds of debts with interest, then move to two. And I'm not saying default on any loans. Keep this in mind. This is specifically paying the minimum on the ones that you have to pay monthly, and then paying down as much as you can on the ones that have incredibly high interest. Because any massive percent loss that's in the double digits in interest is grandly going to be any kind of gains you get from investing anything. And then we want to go in, especially if you have a job, capture any kind of money that is available to you, any kind of funds that are out there that you can get added into your accounts without having to do any extra work. And that's like, for a job, matching your 401k or any kind of retirement funds or HSAs you have with whatever your company that you work for will match. So if it's a 6% match based on your paycheck every other week that you get, have that company get that full match from you. This money is coming out of your paychecks taxable before the tax comes in. So it's not like you're particularly going to miss it. But even if you do feel the strain for it, this is where you don't necessarily tighten your belt, but this is where you put a little bit away for saving for yourself. Because if that employer matches it, that's an extra double the amount of money that you get without having to do any extra work. We're planning for the future here. The present is important for getting that future proper. And if you don't have a company that matches those kind of things, those kind of accounts, skip the retirement for now. It's fine. We can worry about that at a later time. The next thing we want to do is, this is where we jump into stocks. And I'm not going to stress you out with it. You're going to pick a particular platform that you want to do with it. Robinhood. If NerdWallet does it, you can do that. You got Vanguard, Fidelity, Charles Schwab. Like, you have options. Just research those. If you have further questions, we can discuss them. You can discuss them with others. It's perfectly fine to get that figured out. But pick just one for now. And I just want you to get in there and invest whatever minimum amount you can. Somewhere between $1 to $25. After you can get that much put in, and this is separate from the savings that you're building up. After you can get that much put in, go somewhere, over the course of the next year, doing maybe not even $100 investments over the course of the next 6 months to a year. This is going to get you experience in the stock market, and even if it's not a lot of money right now, you will be building something. Even if it's just cents that you gain, it will be cent that you did not have had you not employed this option. And what this does is give you the ability to see what the stock market does, see what kind of growth these other people are having without you having to take on all the risk. Putting $10 in a month, every month, automatically, because what we want to do is set it up in broad market funds. It doesn't necessarily have to be in something that provides you with a grand dividend or anything, but we want to do it in broad market funds for now. That way, and these are the ETFs that people talk about. These are when companies are spread out across a single individual ticker that we use. Like here in America, we may use VWO or VOO as a Vanguard S&P ticker to just track the entire market of the United States, whether it's emerging markets or the ones that are already established. And this curated list is determined by someone else. So you're not doing any funding or you're not doing any research into it unless you specifically want to, but they are managed by other people, which means there's safety in that diversity. We're going to get more into those specifics of that for now, but while your savings goals are getting figured out, we also want to play around and understand what the stock market can do. And this will give us an idea of what kind of things we need to pay attention to in order to move our monies forward. We just don't want to do any trading. We don't want to do any crazy thinking about it. We just want this process to be automatic, because that habit matters more than the amount that you're putting in. That habit is going to be what continues to push us forward. This is the long game that we're playing. If we get lucky along the way, let it be so. But keep in mind, this is what we're doing to try to build to that point. In here, I do want to mention very strongly, do not do these things. This is going to be no stock picking. You won't pick any stocks at this stage. You're just getting in there to figure out what the stock is doing, what the stock market is doing, how you can read the numbers. And this is really your grand learning phase, learning through experience. Like, stop listening to people talk about it. Get out and do it. You can do it with exceptionally low amounts. And I mean, really, I wouldn't start anywhere over $25. $1 is great, grand. If you want to do $15, excellent. But don't try to lose more than $100, especially if you haven't set up your stress relief, your $1,000 in savings, your 1 month of spending expenses that you got saved in case of emergencies. Absolutely no crypto. Crypto is a very volatile, dangerous thing, especially right now as I'm speaking to you, because it has limits and controls on it as a digital based currency that really you can't track to a physical fiat. Don't go into options. Don't go into margins. If you don't know what these words mean, that means that you don't need to be touching them right now. We'll find out about that at a later time. No day trading. Like, again, if it's something that you don't understand, then don't jump in it. We just want to get into a base level stock market position. So then we can begin to understand what kinds of things come with the stock market, and then we can expand our horizons if the funds allow for it. Please don't use any financial gurus of any sort, myself included. There's going to be a time in the future where I'm going to be sponsored by something enough to where I could recommend to you what to do. Please, at this stage, if you are seeing this video, do not, at the beginning of your journey, focus on whatever the financial people are saying on some kind of institutional website. These people are often being paid. And if they are not, they generally are not giving you information that will particularly be useful to them. It's just information that they're going out and research. Maybe they're asking AI about it. You could do the exact same thing, but your judgment matters more and your protection is important. You're building the base of this pyramid for your future. You're not gambling at this stage. And if it comes down to it, gambling would not be a piece that you ever want to get into. We want to have that forward mobility to where these things that we consistently do just end up compounding over time to reach that exponential growth. If you can, the next option is to try to increase your income opportunities. This is getting a brand new job. This is finding some kind of small side hustle, nothing that's going to stress your life. If you think it's going to take away from your free time, that's not something that, and you're not exceptionally excited about that, I say skip it. Because free time to me is just as important as us making this money out here. And that's not the only thing we want to do. There's a reason we want to make this money. So put that goal down. Because increasing the money that you make is definitely only going to be able to help you out in this journey of having some form of freedom. You don't have to look towards immense financial freedom. You just don't want the pressures of not being able to cover things when they pop up. That enlists options. What you want to try to do is keep your life cheap. And by keeping your life cheap, like trying to buy used cars instead of new cars if you can, if the interest on them is not crazy, if the prices and terms are low, you cancel any subscriptions that you're not particularly using. You don't want to suffer for these things. And if your housing comes up, you do want to try to, like, don't try to be flashy at this step. You're trying to build a base. So work with us and just make this thing as simple as possible at the start. The lower you have to spend, the less you have to spend, the greater you can become. You don't need to suffer here. You need margins for error. And then I grandly want you to track just one number monthly, and that is your net worth. So this is where you add up all the things that are currently draining your pockets, everything that you spend money on that is not particularly your food, unless it's a food subscription. Like, track everything. However deep in the hole you are with debts and things that cost you monthly or weekly, I want you to then add up how much stuff is actually gaining you money and how much money you are gaining from those things. This is definitely going to be at the negative at this point. Let's not even make a different run of it. If you are not in the negative right now, excellent. That is grand for you. And you can definitely work with that in a more expert way. But most of us right now, at this particular point, are going to be below that threshold. And so if as this number keeps rising, it allows us to stay more disciplined. And that discipline is important for us, keeping the consistency of making this thing grow. Remember, your job right now is not to get rich. Your job is to not fall too far behind because you were trying to keep up with somebody or other things that are not personally helping you. We just want to get some stability for the future. And then that stability can create us opportunity. And that opportunity gets us the wealth that we're looking for. That opportunity are the options that we need in order to make ourselves less miserable. There's more factors to it, but money is a very strong thing to actually dictate a person's life right now. So remember, in small and short, if you only do these things, we are going to make it very far. I'm doing these exact same things. I'm avoiding high interest debt. I'm building emergency cash. I'm spending less than I earn. I'm tracking that. I'm not going through every little thing and like, oh, if I buy a Snickers bar, if I want to go get some fast food, I'm not tracking that kind of stuff. I'm tracking the things that matter, the things that I have to buy. And you do have to make an allotment for food and things of that nature. But it doesn't have to be every single penny. It would be great if you did, but I'm personally not doing that because that's a little bit more high stress than I'm looking for at the moment. And then invest a tiny amount automatically. Just set it up on auto every month. Same thing happens. Do this for a time until you become more familiar with what it is you're doing. That way you're at least gaining something physical while you're gaining the actual experience for it. And finally, you can work on increasing your income if you're able. But if not, it's not a massive deal. But that's the end of this long dribble. So just keep slicking, eat more chicken.